Welcome to another episode of Getting Fat with Caleb and Joe. I am Joe.
And I am Caleb.
And today we are trying new recording techniques, and of course this is the first show of the day, so let's hope everything works out.
Yeah.
We got all of our new equipment that we've gotten so far. It's all hooked up. One of our pieces of equipment, though, is faulty. What we have is a new Behringer output for the computers so that we can take computer sounds and put it into the mix using the third channel on our little tiny mixer, which we definitely need a new mixer now because of all this stuff. And then we have the output, the phone's jack going out of the mixer and into this little headphone amplifier, and that's our faulty piece of equipment because the output on the
Tri-capture device?
on the Tri-capture device, which is our mixer, it works just fine. I plugged the headphones directly into it, and I heard myself on both sides, but then we're putting it into this this headphone amplifier, and it's only putting it on one side.
Yeah, it's really annoying.
It is. So like the left side can hear the playback. Like my left ear can hear our playback just fine, but the right ear is completely silent.
Yeah. It's pretty crappy.
It is pretty crappy. Like I thought I just bought these, headphones, and they were $30, and I mean they're not super expensive headphones, but $30 is still $30.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? I got bad headphones? But it turns out not to be the headphones, but rather the headphone amplifier, which I think was like a $10 piece of equipment. So
yeah,
So now I'm going to go buy a $20 Behringer one instead of this Pile one. So pileaudio.com can go take a stake, and they know where to put it.
Yes, but we can't say on this one. Well, how was your week?
What do you think, Schweiss?
Well, I already know, so
Okay.
not good for either of us.
Did you not put down your weight?
No, I know what it is though.
Well, there's the little piece of paper. You go ahead and sign that there.
I've already signed so many things recently.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, with my refinance.
Oh, nice.
Like 70
How'd
plus
that go?
signatures. Pretty good.
Pretty good?
I'm going to pay less.
Sweet. That's good. You know what I think you need, Schweiss?
What's that?
I think you need a pop filter.
You think so?
Yeah, you're popping a little bit.
Well, I have one.
Just go. You hear that?
I guess.
Okay. All right. So this week, last week I was 244.2. This week, an atrociously bad week, I am now 247.6.
Oh.
So
Sucks.
I gained a little over 3 pounds. Obviously, I fluctuate in weight pretty quickly. So hopefully next week is a little better. You went from 206.2 to 208.0, which means you almost gained 2 pounds.
Yeah. Honestly, yesterday I weighed myself in the morning, and I was what I was at last week. And then last night I had a few beers, so...
So it's all in the stomach?
Yeah.
Well, I have a pizza in my stomach from last night.
That's a little heavier than the beer.
A little bit heavier.
Was it good?
It was okay.
No.
That's what the sad thing is that it was like mediocre pizza.
You didn't get like stuffed crust or anything fancy?
No, I just got
Oh, dude.
like a white sauce pizza. And I was telling myself I wasn't going to eat the whole thing. And that's what I tell myself every single time.
Yeah.
Then I just down a whole pizza. Like, I really wish I was one of those people who could just eat and then be like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. That's
like Cody. Like Cody has snacks
that's
all the time.
all I want,
Yeah, I mean, the thing, whenever I buy like a bag of chips or some pretzels, I demolish the whole thing. Like, I see Cody having this giant bag of candy, right? But he uses it for like 2 months, 3 months, or just hanging out. He eats a little bit at a time. With me, if I buy a 5-pound bag of gummy, I eat that 5-pound bag of gummy in like 3 days. That thing is gone.
I would never even consider buying a 5-pound thing of gummy.
Really?
Because if I did, I would probably be at least 100 pounds more than I already am.
They have them at Costco.
That would be such a bad idea. Here's the thing. I went we went to that party. We went to a party the night after we did our last podcast, and we overconsumed. And I think since then, I think that's when, I was like, well, I already screwed it up last night. Might as well screw it up today. Well, I screwed it up yesterday. I guess the whole week screwed up. You know, it's that kind of attitude that I really want to get rid of. Just, it's difficult to get rid of that attitude. Anyway, that's kind of what happened. We went to that party, and then I just overdid it, and I overdid it the whole week because of that. At least I gave myself the mentality to screw over the whole week.
Yeah. I feel like that's kind of where it started for me too, is just over there. I mean, I mostly just drank. I didn't really eat anything, but I drank quite a bit, so.
Well, afterwards we went to
that's right.
Village Inn, and I felt like super, super stuffed.
Yeah.
And yeah, just went to sleep on that, and I felt guilty. This whole week though, I've been really, I'm like, it's only 3 pounds more. Like, how much more mass do I actually have on me than the last week, or a few weeks ago when I was 241 or whatever?
Yeah.
How much more actual mass is showing on me versus how fat I feel when I'm walking around. I'm wondering what the difference is. Because maybe, when you've been eating well, or if I've been on my Atkins for a few days, I don't feel bloated at all. I don't feel that, that kind of, that heaviness, or, geez, I wish my stomach wasn't poking out as much kind of thing. I think, I don't know, maybe it's all air. Like someone put a basketball pump onto my stomach and just filled it with air, so it's not actually adding that much more to the scale. It's just adding a lot.
Feel it.
Yeah, I just feel it. So I feel super insecure all day because I'm like, geez, I feel fat. Yet doesn't make me change my eating habits.
Yeah, that's basically where I'm at too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I feel fatter. I don't really look that much fatter, but I just feel it on these weeks that I stop caring and go for it.
Right.
And it's most of it this week was me playing that damn Final Fantasy X just endlessly. No working out. Just get home, play, go to bed, get up, go to work, get home, play, go to bed.
I know last week we were talking about doing a workout routine. I should have came to the gym.
Yeah.
I really should have. Yeah.
Well, this week we might not have time because of the Halo party.
This week or today? Today. Are you meeting Dylan at the gym?
I don't know. We're not.
You didn't even talk about it, did you?
I did with Dylan yesterday.
Oh, you did?
I didn't talk about it with you.
Oh, talk about it with me.
Are we going to play? Or do you not have
basketball?
Enough time? Yeah. If you don't have enough time, it's fine.
We should have enough time. I mean, that thing starts at 6.
Yeah, but we're going to be done with this at 2.
Yeah, and then we go till... Yeah, we'll figure it out later.
All right.
Whether or not we're doing basketball tonight. What I'm wondering is that if we gain weight, should we give money to the other person?
I think we should take money away from the other person.
Should take money away?
Yeah, we got to find some negative version for when we gain weight.
If we make it bad. But we actually, because you never actually gave me that $3 for...
That's true.
Losing more weight than you.
It's just theoretical.
So it's theoretical. So I think if there was actually cash being exchanged on the Saturday that we do this, I think that would make a difference.
Okay, maybe I'll just withdraw $40 and just have it in ones and small change.
I wasn't suggesting that.
I already have most of that anyway in my pocket right now.
Well, yeah, I could always go out into my car and grab quarters for my for my dashboard. But so let's say, what if we make it double what we do? So every time I gain a pound, I could give you $2.
You mean 240?
240
for double. And I give you $1 or I give you $2.
See, but now in this case, it's easier for me to gain weight.
How's it easier for?
Because I fluctuate more.
That's true. I can go off of it for some time and just gain a little bit back.
Just gain a pound, and then I'll gain 5.
Like, I'll never get back over 210 unless I really eat just horrendously all week and don't do anything. That's when I start getting fat.
Fat.
Yeah. No, I say that because after 210, I'm technically, according to the BMI, 50 pounds overweight, which is ridiculous, but that means that would make me obese officially.
So you're overweight right now, but you're not obese.
No, not quite. Almost.
Okay, I am obese.
The BMI can go screw itself, though.
When I think obese, I think Michael Moore.
Yeah.
I don't think Jack Black.
Yeah, Michael Moore.
Who probably is obese.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think
by the BMI.
I think Caleb. I think obese, which is really like
one
of the biggest dudes I've ever known. But
let's see. Well, I'll just round it to $3, unless you don't want to round it. Let me get a calculator for you. I'll give you for every I think for every pound I gain, I should give you $2. You should give me $2.40. Does that make sense?
So we're switching it.
Yeah, so you'd switch it for the gains.
I guess you would have to, huh?
Yeah. Unless you don't want to. Do you want to just like have a $5 per pound gain?
That's a lot.
The reason why you would want it to be a lot, Schweiss,
is to make it not happen.
Is to make, So you'd be feeling like on Thursday night, you'd be like, well, I kind of want that ice cream right now, but I might be owing Caleb $15.
Yeah. Oh, we could do some sort of sick flat rate. Oh, we'll figure something out.
Sick flat rate per pound?
Yeah. The problem, though, is what you just stated, where you gain it quicker. You fluctuate faster.
Well, I'm willing not to worry about that if we do a flat rate.
Okay, I'm down with a flat rate.
What kind of flat rate are we talking about?
Oh, we could do like $3.
$3?
Yeah.
Try it at 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so I gained 3 pounds, you gained 1? No, you gained 2, didn't you?
Yeah.
So I owe you $3.
No, you don't, though, because I owed you $3 from last week. So now we're even.
So now we're fucking... This is stupid!
There will be no exchange of funds.
I was opening my wallet. I was ready to give it to you, man. Okay, all right. Well, now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. Mike Super Church Show.
Yep.
So what'd you do this week, Schweiss?
Mostly I just played video games and kind of sat around.
It's super exciting life, huh?
Yeah.
Dude, are you regretting going for the platinum right now? I mean, you're a lot closer than I am. Kind of.
Yeah, I'm closer. But I don't know if I still don't know if I'll get it.
It's so much. It's so much stuff to do in that game.
We have like 2 more weeks, don't we?
Yeah, we have 2 more weeks. We have till the 11th.
Okay, so this week, next week, and then the other week is 10. So, man, I hope that's enough time.
It's gonna be sick. We got to talk about this on the UFF show.
Yeah, but essentially, I've just been sitting around working, refinancing my house, fun stuff like that.
So not much working out.
No.
Any
Not
at
at all.
all?
None.
Besides basketball last week.
Yeah.
Which of course we went to a party and consumed, and
yeah, I drank quite a bit.
So now you just kind of forget what you did the rest of the whole day.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much, yeah, at that point, because you eat it all at the very end of the day, then you go to bed, and then it all turns to fat.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a counter.
You had kind of a dull week, Schweiss. I'll say that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Grinding those luck nodes.
Yeah, what about you? Did you do anything exciting?
I wish. I didn't really do anything exciting. I did actually get to some movies this week.
You talking like new movies?
Movies I haven't seen
Okay,
before.
so new to you.
New to me, yeah.
That's all that counts.
Well, that is all that counts right now. There's nothing in theaters. Look, it's springtime at the movies is the worst time for the movies.
Well, that's because everyone wants to do their Oscar bids late, So all the super good movies are gonna.
Well, yeah, it's the super good movies and then the summer movies.
Yeah.
The money makers, they put those out in the summer just because, well, Jaws did it successfully. And so every year since Jaws, everybody's been putting their movies out in the summer.
Yeah. There's always those blockbuster summer movies.
Yeah. The thing with springtime movies is that those are the movies that studios gamble that they'll probably lose money on. And so they put them out in the springtime when they don't have any competition. So all the crap. That's why every spring, like, you have this really good season of movies from like October through December, and then a little bit through January, and then, but it's really, post Oscars, February, March, February through May, really. All the movies that the studios are thinking that their investment's not going to pay off. That's when they're.
So there's a better chance of it paying off.
Yeah, there's a better chance of it paying off. They don't usually put their giant movies in the spring.
Yeah.
The exception to that would be, I think, the biggest spring moneymaker. And I think someone might have broken this record, but I think the biggest spring money maker is 300 still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was a really odd thing. Like, I don't think the studio thought it was going to be a hit. And they put it out in the spring, and then it was a hit. So it was really odd.
I enjoyed it, but I do recognize its flaws. The slow-mo every 10 seconds is not... It's not good. It's overdoing something that is good, and then by doing that makes it crappy.
Zack Snyder, to me, I don't think he really cares that much about the artistry of filmmaking. I think he is more into what looks cool.
Yeah.
He's kind of like Michael Bay in that aspect, but I do think he's a better filmmaker than Michael Bay.
Oh, yeah, I would say so.
I think Watchmen is better than anything Michael Bay's ever done. And I think out of all the Zack Snyder movies that I've seen, I never saw Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
Just because the trailer looked horrid, and apparently it is a horror movie. But out of all the Zack Snyder movies that I've seen, I think Watchmen is probably the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
You haven't seen that one?
Nope.
Oh, it's pretty good.
So the best one to me is probably Dawn of the Dead.
Oh.
That one's the least like his other ones, though.
I think that might have been his first movie.
Really?
Might have.
I liked it. It's not as good as the original, but I still enjoyed it. There's some dark comedy and lots of zombies.
I hated it.
I know.
Yeah, I don't really care for Zack Snyder that much.
I don't really either, but...
Yeah. So, yeah, once again, it's just not a good time to go to the movies. There was Chappie that came out a few weeks ago, and then there's Cinderella, which is supposed to be good. Disney's been putting out big movies in the spring. They did it with Alice in Wonderland first a few years ago, and they've been putting out the...
The live action?
The live action remakes. I think most of them have come out in the spring, so I think that's actually been pretty consistent. I think Disney might have a thing going there.
Yeah, where they just...
Yeah, where like the other studios aren't even caring about the springtime, and then maybe Disney's putting out their stuff in the spring.
It's not a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea. And Cinderella at least has a good Rotten Tomato score, and it's supposed to be pretty good. I just hate
80s.
Remakes. I know it's a remake of the film. So, like,
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate remakes. It depends.
What remake is better than the original that you know of?
Maybe Scarface.
Have you seen the original Scarface?
No.
Okay, well then you can't say that one.
Really highly.
You can't say that one.
Think
of a movie that you've seen the original and the remake of, and tell me if there's really any that are better than the original.
I can't even really think of any. Like the original Scarface would have to be a pretty good movie to be better than that remake, but still can't say that because I haven't seen the original. But I don't know, what remakes are there really? I mean,
well, I think what's his name? Did the Ten Commandments? The famous Ten Commandments is a remake of a silent Ten Commandments. And another epic is a remake of a silent epic, Ben-Hur. In both those movies, Ten Commandments and Ben-Hur, they've had a longer life than the silent movies they're based on. So those are really the only two examples where at least the movie is considered more classic. But you know what? I've never seen the silent Ten Commandments.
Is that really a remake though?
It was by the same filmmaker.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, at least Ten Commandments was. The Ben-Hur, I'm not sure about. But you know what? If they're both based on a book, it's not really a remake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're both retellings of the book.
They're adaptations of a book.
Right.
One of them the bestseller ever. But yeah, that's what's hard to say because technically Lord of the Rings would be somewhat of a remake if that weren't the case. Although the original...
Oh, they're both based on a book, so maybe not. Maybe it's not really a remake.
Because when I think about the cartoon...
Did you watch the cartoon Lord of the Rings?
I watched...
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty dumb, yeah. I watched The Hobbit more, I think, when I was a kid.
The Hobbit one had singing in it.
Yeah.
Bugged me. Yeah.
They sing.
Do they sing in Lord of the Rings? It's been a while.
They have songs. I mean, well...
Okay.
Yeah, they sing in The Hobbit. They've got their little...
Here's the thing.
Song
when I watched the cartoon Lord of the Rings, I had seen the Fellowship of the Ring in theaters, and I was like so awed by it, you know? Mm-hmm. But it was that wait between it being in theaters and it coming out on DVD again that, I just wanted Lord of the Rings. And so my mom at Blockbuster picked me up the cartoon one.
Yeah, and
I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I was trying to listen to some soundtracks to them earlier in the week, and I pulled up on YouTube, there's like a Lord of the Rings soundtrack channel. I was like, oh, cool, that's awesome. I pull it up, and I'm like, man, I don't recognize any of this shit. Like, what is this from? And then I like pull over, look down, and it's the freaking animated short. I'm like, this doesn't sound anything like the new one. Like, I don't want any of this crap. So it was like more upbeat and less epic and huge.
Yeah, there are fans of that cartoon one, I know.
It's true. Some people like it more, and I'm like, some people don't.
I don't know anyone who likes it more.
I do. Some people don't like the Peter Jackson movies, though. I don't see how. I really don't. Like it holds
maybe
up.
If, the only thing I could think of is if they were huge fans of Lord of the Rings first, then watched the movies and were disappointed by it. That's it. Well, I mean, you could just not like the movies, in which case you probably don't like Lord of the Rings in general.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought the book was
like that's our trilogy though. Like, when people talk about the Star Wars trilogy being like the life-changing kind of like big trilogy, like ours is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And so, which they're better than the Star Wars movies.
I think so too. Rotten Tomatoes will back us up on this, except for maybe counting the Hobbit movies, because those ones the ratings
no, I
aren't
wouldn't
quite
count
as
the
good.
Hobbit movies, and we're talking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
If you're talking about the Lord of the Rings trilogy, there's very few trilogies that really, really come close to that.
Yeah.
In terms of all three movies being of exceptional quality film work in a row,
Yeah, and the thing
think about other trilogies, right?
There's like The Mummy, but
okay, there's the Mummy trilogy, where the second one and the third one's really not that great either.
I kind of like the second one.
The Mummy Returns?
Yeah.
What's the matter with you?
The first one wasn't that great either. Come on.
You should talk closer to your mic a little bit.
The first one wasn't that great either. Come on.
It was a little campy, but it was fun. But it's still better than the other two. Would you agree?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Fun movie.
Say so.
Fun
yeah,
movie.
it was enjoyable.
Then there's Toy Story trilogy.
That's pretty solid.
That's a contender with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's like all three movies really exceptional. Mm-hmm. And you can watch them all on their own, and they're still great pieces of entertainment by themselves.
True.
There's the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
Talking about remakes a little bit, but once again, adaptations. Mm-hmm. Batman Begins, though, I think is the shaky one there.
Yeah, I would say so too.
I mean, it's still a good, fun movie, but definitely the other two are a lot better.
Yeah.
The Three Colors trilogy, which I know you've never seen, but a lot of artsy folks, snobby people, they say that's the greatest film trilogy of all time. And you know what? It probably is. but no one in the populace really cares
Yeah.
too much about the super artsy French film trilogy. But they're like the Three Colors trilogy. There's red, white, and blue. Or is it blue? No, it's blue, red, and white. Blue, white, and red. God, geez, Louise, I can't get it straight. And each is the color of the French flag, you know, and it has something to do with each movie has to do thematically with that color. And at the end, they're all tied together at the end of red. And you know what? The trilogy, super solid. White and red and blue are super solid, and red is really, really good. Up to that scene where it ties all three together, and then it just feels hokey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But that's one of those top 1,000 movies that you're going through. The Three Colors trilogy is on there.
All three of them?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, everybody, when I was looking at stuff about the trilogies before I watched them, like everybody was saying White was the worst one. I didn't feel that way at all. I thought they were all really solid. So, anyway, so that's another film trilogy that's considered like the greatest film trilogy. And then there's the original Star Wars trilogy, which had Return of the Jedi in it.
I think, honestly, the what's the Clint Eastwood trilogy the Dollars trilogy? That one's pretty sweet too. It doesn't have a really weak one like the original Star Wars trilogy does.
That's if you didn't watch Yojimbo first.
That's still not necessarily weak. It's just a complete ripoff.
That's a remake. You need to see Yojimbo though.
That first one is a remake, yes.
Yeah.
But the third one, that's a standalone.
The Good and the Bad and the Ugly is one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
I guess the first one being a complete ripoff would kind of remove it from this top three trilogy.
In my eyes, yes. In other people's, probably not. Probably because other people didn't watch Yojimbo first, but I've been going through, I think I have like 3 Akira Kurosawa movies left, but for like the last 5 years, just like once a month or so, I've been watching an Akira Kurosawa movie.
Yeah. Like
all the time. I'm trying to get through his whole giant body of work, and I'm really close to getting done, and that was one of them, was Yojimbo, which is a fantastic, it's one of his masterpieces. It's one of the great movies of Akira Kurosawa. And then this Italian ripoff artist decided to steal every single plot line from the movie Yojimbo and kind of, he didn't even mess with it. He just put it in a Western setting. It's the exact same movie.
From what I've heard.
Yeah, it's filmed differently though.
Yeah.
Yeah, his filming techniques are different. Sergio Leone he's kind of got more of an epic thing going on in that movie than Kurosawa. Kurosawa has other epics that are probably bigger in scope, but not in Yojimbo, because it all takes place in kind of like one town. Mm-hmm. But his directing style, he'll do most of the movie consists of him doing really close-ups on the faces, and then really wide shots after that, you know? And that's kind of what it goes through the whole time. Yojimbo's a little different. It's got a lot more medium shots and a lot more camera movement, and less just close-ups and long shots than Sergio Leone. So it's kind of an interesting thing to look at two directors telling the exact same story, with two different, completely different styles,
right?
In that way. And so I think they're both considered like masterpieces, but I think Akira Kurosawa's is a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, for the voice acting.
Yeah, that's true.
in what was it? A Fistful of Dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty crappy. The third one though doesn't have.
It's not as bad in the third one.
I don't think it has any of that.
It does. They're all like that. They're all ADR, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. There's a few moments where you can see it in the third one. It doesn't really take away from the movie though.
What about the Once Upon a Time? Was that one? I don't think that one was. I think that was. Are you serious?
Yeah. I could tell.
I didn't even notice.
You couldn't tell?
No, I wasn't really looking, I guess.
Yeah, I could tell.
Huh.
Yeah, I think all of Sergio Leone's work was done like that, where he filmed the film silently. Peter Jackson, by the way, does the exact same thing. Filmed the film silently, and then afterwards, all the voice acting was done because he was making those Italian movies. They were all in they were Italian, but they had some American stars in them.
Yeah.
And so, everybody was kind of speaking different languages. Sergio Leone at the time couldn't speak English when Clint Eastwood was hired to be in that movie. So Clint Eastwood would just do what he did, and then the other actors would do they're totally separate performances. Yeah, it's really interesting.
It's pretty crazy.
But yeah, Peter Jackson does the exact same thing, except that he doesn't have people speaking different languages on set.
Yeah.
And apparently when Peter Jackson directs, he yells at the actors to get them to do things during the scene. So okay, now you're looking over here. Now you're looking at that's apparently what he does. And then they just ADR the entire movie.
Really?
So all of the Lord of the Rings are ADR, and all of the Hobbit ADR.
Nice.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah, that is.
That's why the sound's so damn good. But there's no awkward ADR moments though because of that. Have you ever been watching a movie and then someone's face is turned and then the sound quality is just a little different?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when they're usually filling ADR oh, we really need this line. But if the rule that we've been taught in film school here is that, you either have all ADR or you have no ADR, because there's no way as a film school student you're going to be able to cover up the fact that you're doing ADR on top of whatever you filmed. So it's got to be one or the other. And Peter Jackson, of course, takes the ADR route.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that at all.
Now you'll watch Lord of the Rings and be looking for their lip syncing.
Yeah.
Which it's all high quality. You won't be able to notice a thing. Yeah, all the sound is post in that movie. In those movies. It's pretty incredible. You'll be watching I watched the special features of one of the Lord of the Rings, and there's this one scene where they took that take, and the inflections in Aragorn's voice was different than what I knew it was in the movie, and that's where I kind of figured, I found out about that, and then did a little bit more research. Yeah, it's all ADR, the entire thing. So it doesn't really take away from the movies.
No, not really. I mean, if anything, you can get better sound quality by doing that.
Yeah, so. in a way, yeah. But you're the argument is that the performances are compromised. So the actor, can't get back into whatever they were doing before. Well, and actors really hate ADR apparently.
Do they? I feel like that's not necessarily true with Lord of the Rings though. I don't think they lost any performance ever.
But does the actor feel that way?
I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
They're wrong if they do, because movies are great.
I'm sure the actors think those movies are great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it helped all their careers, except for Elijah Wood.
That's true.
What's with stars of big, huge movies never, that weren't already stars before, never being able to get out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, some of the...
So, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah. He's
always going to be Harry Potter. Tobey Maguire and Elijah Wood both had careers before their giant trilogies. Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, and Elijah Wood, Lord of the Rings. They both had careers already. Mm-hmm. They were already... they weren't household names, but they were, known.
Yeah, they were in big movies.
Yeah. And then they just...
Maybe they're just done. But then now they're just taking easy stuff. It's not huge.
They're not taking easy stuff. I don't think Tobey Maguire's taking easy stuff.
No, maybe not easy, but
they're both into really small movies now, Elijah Wood and Tobey Maguire.
Maybe they just had enough.
Maybe. I think Tobey Maguire didn't want to do Spider-Man 4 because he didn't want to be known as Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was a quote from him.
Well, that's
too bad because apparently the new Spider-Man movies suck, but I've never seen them.
That's what I heard. I don't really like the actors that play any of the dudes in there, so I don't know. I can't take him seriously when I'm looking at him.
Wait, Toby?
No, though his series is fine.
Andrew, whatever his name
new
is.
Guy and
Eduardo from The Social Network.
Yeah, New Guy and New Bad Guy. I can't take them seriously. They're like two nerdy kids that I would expect to show up at a Final Fantasy, pre-release.
Like us?
Yeah, like us, but just they never have worked out in their lives. I'm like, I can't take this seriously at all. At least with, the original trilogy, sure, Tobey Maguire is kind of a nerdy dude. That's the point of Spider-Man, but it's not the same. He seems somewhat formidable, at least once he works out and like gets going, But when I look at what's the kid's name? His buddy, his best friend who ends up trying to kill him.
I call him James Franco. I don't know.
Yeah, that guy.
I don't know what his character name. I'll be honest.
James Franco looks way more like a bad guy, like any sort of threat than the new bad guy.
I think James Franco is. I think he's quite a presence on screen.
Yeah. And like when I watched the trailers for the other one, like the little blonde kid, I'm like, that looks like a.
Yeah, you're right.
The
The little blonde guy that I saw. Yeah, now I know who you're talking about.
I don't know his name, but he doesn't look.
Harry Osborn.
Harry. He's not very formidable at all in the new trilogy, as far as I could see in the trailers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He's like this Weasley, Macaulay Culkin kind of kid who's like just has never eaten, is like dying, has some really messed up shit going on. I'm like, how is that guy a threat? Like, just break his tiny
I never
little
thought of him
pencil
being
bag.
a threat, but that character, the Harry character, is just James Franco in my mind. Because
Yeah.
I didn't grow up on the comics. I mean, I watched the Spider-Man cartoon, but
Yeah, I didn't read the comics either.
I just care about the movies. It's all that matters to me. So yeah, the original Spider-Man trilogy. Just why watch the remake?
Yeah, and I mean the first two are really solid.
Yeah, the first two are really solid. I really like the first two. I love Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe is
Love
awesome.
Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. Okay, so now we're still talking about trilogies here.
Okay.
Yeah, think of a film trilogy more solid, more like all three movies are just fantastic. There really isn't anything more. There isn't anything better than Lord of the Rings that I can think of, besides maybe the Three Colors trilogy, maybe Toy Story.
Yeah.
Like they come really close.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either.
Yeah,
I mean, Toy Story's fun, but
it's like, what is it? The Matrix trilogy?
yeah.
If all three movies were the quality of the first one,
Yeah.
but they're not.
No, they really aren't. But that second and third one just
You want me to go on my tangent here? I think you've heard this one.
maybe.
Okay. The first Matrix, of course, is a fantastic standalone film. The second and third Matrix were actually adapted from one screenplay. And they made them longer, and they split them up because Warner Brothers wanted to make it 3 films instead of 2 to, get more money.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I figured the best way to watch the Matrix trilogy is to actually watch the second and third one back to back and think of it as one movie. And if you think of it as one movie, where the end of The Matrix Reloaded is the midpoint of the film, because a film is split into 3 acts, but in the middle of the second act, there's a midpoint. It's usually a big failure of the hero, or a big win for the hero. And then the end of the beginning of the third act is going to be the opposite of that.
Right.
So with the Matrix, of course, Neo, he gets lost and he becomes unconscious at the end of Reloaded. And so if they made that the midpoint of the film, then you can kind of see the momentum going from the second to the third one. If you look at it you kind of have to look at it that way. You can't look at Matrix Reloaded as its own movie, because Matrix Reloaded as its own movie is just the first half of a story.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Matrix Revolutions is the second half of a story. So when you watch the movies individually, you feel like you've been shortchanged. If you want to enjoy the second 2 Matrix movies, you have to watch them back to back as a 4-hour epic. That's what you have to do. And you know what? I did it. And I think they're rather decent.
Yeah.
Back to back. Yeah. Like you can see the whole story that way. Individually, it's hard to see it. Yeah. And they have their bad moments though, because they've been padded out. There's some scenes there that don't need to be there and stuff like that, but and so it's a flawed movie, large 4-hour movie, but it's not as bad as the two halves by themselves.
Yeah, maybe
So,
that is the problem.
so I beg all those who are listening to me and who know that the second two Matrix movies are just, or who hate those movies or whatever, watch them back to back. Try that. Just try it, and I think you'll get something out of them. I think they're better than we give them credit for. If you see it in that kind of way, it's kind of like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, though not as good, admittedly.
No.
As one film, it is so much better than either half. So, yeah.
I think Kill Bill is better than The Matrix.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I'm saying it is, like, Kill Bill is way better than The Matrix. But,
Even the first one.
Yeah. So, even more speaking about movies, because I can talk about movies all day long, I watched Philadelphia with Tom Hanks, and I noticed that the close-ups on the characters, a lot of times, if it was from Tom Hanks's point of view, the characters that he was talking to, when it would go back to their close-up, they'd be center frame, and they'd be looking directly into the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa. Like, I'd never noticed it. And it was something that was kind of like freaking me out a little bit. And I think if you were an uninformed audience member, that you probably wouldn't notice it. You would notice the psychological effect of having people looking directly into the camera lens. So they're directly looking at you, like the Mona Lisa. No matter where you go, they're going to be looking directly at you. I think if you were an uninformed audience member, you would see it that way. You wouldn't even notice. But most movies don't have that. It's called a subjective point of view, when it's directly from the point of view of the character. And Hitchcock used to do it every once in a while, and I think that's where it was popularized. But the director of Philadelphia, and also the director of Silence of the Lambs, his name is Jonathan Demme. And I noticed it with Philadelphia, and I noticed it with Silence of the Lambs, but I didn't realize they were the same director. Is that, like, every time they would look directly into the camera. And I was wondering why he did that. So I watched Silence of the Lambs last night, because I watched Philadelphia a couple of days ago. And I was like, okay, I'm going to see how he uses this technique. It's unnerving when he uses that technique. And the reason why he would do that is to make the audience feel uncomfortable, to put the audience directly into the character's shoes. Other movies really do not do this. Other movies do not have people look directly into the lens. It is something that you just don't do. It's breaking the 180-degree rule. The only, I know Ozu, the Japanese filmmaker, used to do it in the 30s, but and of course Hitchcock did it every once in a while, especially with Rear Window, because you'd see Jimmy Stewart's face, then whatever he's looking at, then back at Jimmy Stewart, be the subjective point of view. That's where it was popularized, using that. Jonathan Demme uses it in such a way, though, that it's like really freaky. And I think that's why Silence of the Lambs is so effective, and Philadelphia. It's because whenever a character is going through an uncomfortable moment, like, he puts you directly into their shoes, and then you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like,
generally with movies, you're supposed to be basically be watching an event happen.
Right.
So it's not supposed to be looking directly at you. It's kind of frowned upon because it's acknowledging you as an audience member and destroying the illusion of the film.
Sure, I think you would only notice that, though, if you were, like, still informed, once again. Like, I think if I showed this movie to my sister or something like that, I don't think she would even notice.
Yeah.
I think she would feel it, like she would feel the uncomfortableness of people looking directly into Tom Hanks's eyes, the guy with AIDS, right?
Right.
I think they would feel that, but I don't think they would notice that the reason they feel that is because the actor is looking directly at them, which does not happen in any other, hardly any other movie, except for Jonathan Demme uses it all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, He's just, masturbating this technique. But he does it so well in those two movies. It's like, it's incredible. And so I'm thinking about how I can kind of use that, because it's a really cool technique.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to look up interviews with Jonathan Demme, and he mentioned it one time in an interview. And he was like, well, you can't just, do that without having some close. You got to like build your way into a scene in order to use those type of close-ups. He's talking about how you'd start with like a further over the shoulder, and then you get closer and closer, and then finally be into someone's eyes. So the way that he did this, and I watched really closely last night when I watched Silence of the Lambs again, is that they'd walk into the room and there'd be one character whose perspective during the scene that we're looking through. So usually it'd be Clarice's point of view. So we'd see a regular close-up of Clarice looking off to the side. Slightly. I mean, it'd get closer and closer the more intense the scene got. Mm-hmm. Look closely off to the side. And then if it was from her point of view, then the next shot would be of Hannibal Lecter kind of off to the side. Then you go back to her even closer, and then it'd be directly at Hannibal Lecter, looking directly into the camera. And I think the image that people most remember from Silence of the Lambs, besides him wearing the mask or whatever, or the butterfly coming out of the throat, which is it's probably the real close-up of Hannibal Lecter just filling the entire frame, looking directly at you. Like that's the image that you kind of walk away with Silence of the Lambs with. But the only way that the director would be able to like have that shot go in there and not like kind of go, ooh, that's weird, is by like slowly building up to it, and then just like the way he's looking directly at the lens, it makes his performance even more powerful.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is that that actor is good enough to look directly into a camera lens and still have that performance, instead of looking into another human's eyes, which is what most actors like to do, is they like to act with other actors.
Yeah.
But Jonathan Demme is making them act to a camera, it just makes Anthony Hopkins even better.
Yeah.
in my eyes.
He's pretty awesome in that movie.
So yeah, I did some film exploration this week.
Nice.
With Jonathan Demme's use of subjective point of view. Because most movies, like you were saying, it's called objective point of view.
Yeah.
David Fincher, I don't think, would ever use a subjective point of view shot. He always does objective. David Fincher is the opposite kind of director. He doesn't want to be noticed at all. Like, with the exception of his like super long shots in Panic Room or something like that, David Fincher's not there for you to notice. He's just there to kind of, for David Fincher, it's like you're the eyes of God.
Yeah.
Kind of looking wherever. Yeah. Jonathan Demme's totally different. But Jonathan Demme uses it so it's unnoticeable also. So maybe not, but it's certainly unnerving. So if you ever have a character in a super uncomfortable situation, that's a good idea to go for. To go for the direct point of view. Make it feel super uncomfortable.
Nice. Well, I'll keep that in mind.
Okay. Well, you do that. Anything else you want to talk about?
Not really.
All right. Sorry I talked your ear off about movies. There is no trilogy in Jonathan Demme's work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lord of the Rings, best trilogy. Star Wars is pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close, but it's not...
It's not as good.
No, I love Star Wars, though.
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back is a great film.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Enjoy the weight loss stuff.
Let's get fat.
Let's get fat.
Isn't that what we
I think it is, yeah.
Okay, well, then say it.
Let's get fat.